Hey everybody! Before we get started today, let me just actually spend a little time talking to you about what it is you're about to see. A few years ago, I actually had a bad movie podcast that I did with a few friends of mine called We Need to Have a Talk. What we did with that was we watched a lot of, let's say, not so good movies, and we'd spend about an hour or so talking about them. We actually did a lot of research into a few of the movies, and we had a lot of good, insightful conversations with it, but unfortunately, because of a lot of different variables of life that occurred, was never really able to fully put the episodes out there. I'm going to start releasing some of those older episodes, but we're also going to start doing newer episodes too, starting with a special Halloween edition of We Need to Have a Talk over the movie Jason X. Yeah, so you're going to want to come back and watch that. Subscribe to the channel, you can get all the updates for the We Need to Have a Talk and all the other various videos that we do here. We should have that one up probably on Friday, but also maybe on Saturday, depending on how things go. But for this episode, we recorded this earlier in the year, February, I believe, shortly after Jupiter Ascending came out. So, this has been out for a while. If you want to watch it, I don't know why, but you could probably find it on any of your streaming video services or through nefarious means, if that's really the kind of thing you want to do. That's probably the thing I would recommend if you don't want to spend money on it. But you know what? If it's cheap, spend a little money, have a good time watching a really, really, really bad movie. Jupiter Ascending. Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of We Need to Have a Talk. It's been a while since we've done this. We're out of practice for about, 2 years now?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think it was 2 years since we did the Prometheus episode.
It seems like it's been about 6 months.
6 months?
I think I'm kind of autistic when it comes to time.
I think you've been keeping yourself a lot busier than the rest of us
maybe
have.
so.
So
Yeah.
time flows a little differently for you.
Prometheus has cooled off on me some. I don't like it as much as I did when we were
That's
kids.
right. You were.
I was pro Prometheus.
You were very pro Prometheus. So joining us today is most of the usual cast. You have Justin Tapp,
Hello.
Gabe Sandoval,
Hey, guys.
and Tim Honker.
Hey,
Lauren is no longer participating with this as she is busy giving Shigeru Miyamoto shiatsu massages in Nintendo's Kyoto headquarters. But with us today is local Austin entertainer Jimmy Galactic.
Hello.
And she's going to be providing the much-needed feminine voice for the movie we watched today, which has been described from places that I've read about it as the most masterful, perfect, feminine accompaniment to sci-fi that has come out in
Shut
many
up
years.
now. Shut up now.
is
We watched
terrible.
Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
and we're going to deconstruct it on a feminist level.
Yes, this is all going to be...
Third wave. I'm going to be third wave. Gabe's going to be second wave.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
This movie...
New wave.
I don't think anyone ever expected that this movie was going to be good. Just
I think the Wachowskis might,
Wachowskis?
Wachowskis?
The Wachowski siblings. Gotta say siblings now, not brothers. They're siblings.
I
Well,
wasn't
that's right,
gonna. I was gonna honor her
Get it?
transition.
Yes. Okay, just making sure.
I don't. I think they thought it was gonna be good.
Probably.
Oh,
Probably.
I still think that they think it's good.
I don't know. Maybe.
Do you think... I feel like a lot got left on the editing floor, because there were parts where I had to be like, what just happened? Like, why did that have to happen this way?
Oh my
why
God.
couldn't they walk through a hallway and describe a couple of things?
Well,
you know,
Walk
like,
what? This
Yeah.
whole movie? Okay.
You know,
How-
but
how long
that's what I mean.
Most of the
Like,
movie...
Yeah.
Most of the movie, when it isn't
Was
like...
description? Was
Yeah, it was an exposition.
I think it was written by
most ruthless
Brian
exposition.
from Family Guy. I think Brian wrote it.
It's exactly like what was
Faster.
Brian's play?
I went to work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
I had a hard day at work, but now I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was mostly exposition, so whatever is on the cutting room floor, I don't know if I need to see
You
it.
don't need to see it. I
You're
don't
not going
know.
to get the special edition Blu-ray that's like the 4-hour version.
Yeah.
If there's a 4-hour
It's-
version, I
it's-
would blow my mind.
It's funny. They're making a series for Netflix.
The Wachowskis?
Yeah, and of course, after this movie, and this movie kind of fucked some people. It fucked some shit up. It was so, it was so bad, and it came out
Yeah.
right at a time when Eddie Redmayne was nominated. I mean, he won.
Yeah, he
went
won
on to
the
win
Oscar.
Best Actor. But there are people that actually saw this movie and his performance in it and said, like, "Is this the death of his fucking career? Like, literally, before he even wins the Oscar, will this, And there was actually an article in Slate that said, this will not kill Eddie Redmayne's career.
No.
But it's funny because the movie is so bad, and and I think everyone universally agrees it's shitty. That the main guy from Netflix, or one of the guys, was talking about it in regards to their working for Netflix, and he was saying they're doing a great job. It's the thing about them is that they have to edit to get the shit down to a small time to get into a movie time. If you actually watch the director's cut of Cloud Atlas, it'll blow your fucking mind. And that was essentially what he said, and the idea is that because of the show, the Netflix, the way it was working out is that they could go on for as long as they wanted to go, and that was why it was going to be good and not terrible.
Who here likes Cloud Atlas?
I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
See, okay, so then most of us have you watched it, Gabe?
I have not.
See, everybody
I
here
loved
hasn't
it.
seen the movie, but she actually
I
likes
enjoyed it. I did enjoy
Yeah.
it.
So I can't say anything about Cloud Atlas. I could say plenty about the other Wachowski movies, which I think are all awful.
I thought a lot about this since I saw it last night, and
You have a really weird time thing going on. It's like, how long was that really, Justin?
oh yeah, it was last. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Everything's 2 weeks ago, and I'll be like, "And when was that?" I think it was a couple weeks ago. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, that was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't. I think that there's a lot, and it's not all the fault of this movie. This movie has its problems. Its ballast is indicative, I think, of the way movies are made, especially big budget action flicks
Yeah.
are made now, as opposed to a long time ago. And it's not. I mean, it has all of its obvious problems, but it's an abundance. Like, so when The Matrix came out and it won a bunch of MTV Movie Awards,
Yeah.
one of the
I love that you pointed
Prestigious.
out.
well,
Yeah.
at the MTV Movie Awards, the Wachowskis were there and they got up at the podium, and I remember I was watching it,
Yeah.
and they go, to everyone who thinks that movie was awesome, you haven't seen anything yet. And everyone was like, "Oh, they're gonna blow our fucking minds with this next movie," And of course, The Matrix,
This Matrix Reloaded.
came out, and
Reloaded
it was
was-
fucking terrible.
It's terrible.
You know what I mean? But it was that was the beginning, I think, of the idea that it was an abundance. We're gonna blow your fucking mind. You thought watching, Neo and Smith fight was fucking cool. Well, watch Neo fight 500 Smiths. Check this shit out.
right.
It's like
Yeah.
it's
It's-
like the
it's
just
Patton
gonna turn
Oswalt.
every
It's like the
knob
Patton
up.
Oswalt
Yeah.
Black Angus bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, let me take a pumpkin, fill it full of jalapeno poppers. I think that's what's going on in their movies.
So it's like it's just like the constant ratcheting up.
Yeah.
yeah.
With a classic storyline, but just like, let's just dazzle you with visual to where it's like
Yeah.
we're gonna distract you, and like, you're supposed to keep watching.
But I
this. It's
feel
so
like
grand.
we're at a point in time right now where a lot of movies, like a lot of blockbuster movies, have kind of started to move away from the pitfalls of that. Like, that's how Marvel has all of their films that are it's the same sort of thing where they ratchet up. The destruction porn. There's 7 skyscrapers
No,
all
I mean, I
exploding
think,
at
yeah.
once, but
And
they
it's
still have a capacity to create interesting characters.
I guess. I mean, if you're into comic,
If you're in a
books.
if you're into comic, if you're
I
into
mean,
that
I
sort
was
of
going to
thing.
say the one saving
I am-
grace.
I'm into
The one
comic
saving
books.
grace of this movie was that it at least was an original idea. As fucking ridiculous as
But
it
you
was.
see, that's what I
at
don't.
least it was original.
That's kind of what I don't like about it, because it makes me think that it was an original idea, but it was so poorly done that it makes me think it's going to turn Hollywood off of original
oh, dude,
ideas.
Hollywood's off.
Hollywood's off. Yeah,
They're off. They can't get
Yeah.
more off.
They're but they at least
They're making a Blade Runner 2.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but we got Birdman.
We did get Birdman.
I mean, okay, one.
Yeah,
one.
one. Yeah, okay, one.
We got Boyhood. I mean, and every year there's some good movies being made. But I think that, and I guess that, there's always been a dearth of really great thinking man's big budget action sci-fi. You know what I mean? It's a
Right.
relatively, it's done poorly much more than it's done well, and it's
Yeah.
always
I
been
think
the always
Interstellar
been the
was like a
case.
throwback to that sort
See,
of
I haven't
thing.
seen Interstellar yet, which is
Interstellar's
fucking
good.
What?
ridiculous.
It is
Wow.
ridiculous.
That
As
came
I-
out like
as I-
2
watching,
years ago.
As I'm watching Jupiter Ascending, I'm thinking,
Juniper.
Yeah,
You're done?
Juniper.
I'm sorry, I said the Juniper.
Juniper
As I'm
Rising.
watching, as I watched Juniper ascend today, as I lifted it up.
As you lifted her up.
As I'm watching Jupiter ascending, I'm thinking, I never saw Interstellar.
Yeah, that's a crime.
What a bunch of ridiculous bullshit is.
Did you guys care about the characters in Jupiter?
Well, Jupiter Ascending is the exact opposite of that, in that the movie starts off with just a
Starts like The
bombardment
Matrix.
of crazy exposition. Like
yeah.
you get the scene, the opening scene where Jupiter's father is talking to his pregnant mom, and they're talking about, oh, what are we gonna name her? Name her Jupiter? That's dumb, whatever. And then out of nowhere, dudes burst in and fucking kill the dude.
Yeah.
But she is also narrating this entire
She's narrating
thing.
the entire
Which
thing.
is always like, and the thing is I'm actually personally not opposed to voiceover narration in a movie. I think it can be done to good effect.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that is like that's a bad sign.
Yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean?
it's
It's
a-
basically like
it means that
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, shit didn't make sense in the near final edit. So why don't we get Mila Kunis back in, and she's gonna spell some shit out
well,
for
it's
people.
the classic Blade Runner thing. When they originally made Blade Runner,
Yeah.
they screened it for the executives, and the executives were like, "What the fuck is going on?" And they were like, "You don't get it?" They were like, "No, what the fuck is going on?" It's like he's showing up. They're like, "It's pretty obvious to us." And they're like, "No, man, no one's gonna want to watch this.
Yeah.
We need to write some voiceover, get what's his face back in here, and have him do it." Well, he went in. He was like, "They want me to come in and do what?"
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, who just crashed
Yeah.
a plane.
With
Yeah.
the plane.
Some
Yeah.
shit.
He's
He
kind of a
walked
badass.
away.
Yeah,
He
he
walked
is a
away.
Harrison Ford doesn't
While it
fuck
like
around.
exploded.
That's not
and,
the
yeah,
Crash
first
landing,
smoked a
and he
cigarette.
walks away.
Crash. That's his at least third crash.
He knows
He
how to
crashed
fucking crash a
He
plane.
crashed a plane in Nebraska, and he crashed a
Stop
helicopter.
flying planes, dude.
Yeah, he should
know what
stop
I mean?
it. He should just fucking stop. He
No,
needs
he
to.
can't.
He needs to find his Chewie.
He can't
He needs to fucking
stop.
find his Chewie
What
so
he
that he
needs is an
doesn't
astromech.
fucking-
And he's got to have R2 back there fixing the hyperdrive.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? He's like, the engine's.
Engines-
They fixed it.
engines
You
blocked.
know, and turns around. Chewie's
Doesn't Han
got his head in
Solo-
his hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Doesn't Han Solo even say, like when he's asked, like, can you fly this thing? He's like, fly, yes. Land, no.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
exactly.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was some shit.
that was Indiana Jones.
Was it?
That was a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
joke. So, like, the start of Jupiter Ascending is
Yeah.
just the clunkiest exposition that you could.
I thought it was like a Godfather like parody or something. It was like
Well, what's interesting? I mean, I guess not the very beginning, but in a way, it seemed like they were trying to remake The Matrix. They
Yeah.
were just like
That's
There
the
was a
same-
lot of
it's the
that.
same
Here's a
idea.
Just
mundane
like-
person. Oh, you're special.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mundane person becomes the one, which
Yeah.
is okay,
An
Luke
illegal
Skywalker,
alien.
I mean, it's a pretty common trope, but
Yeah.
and then but there were a lot of parallels to The Matrix. It's a whole vast reality
There's a whole
that you
thing
don't
that-
know about
that exists
you know what
behind
I
the
mean?
curtain, you know?
And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, humans are just a power source or
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's the
Exactly.
same fucking movie. It's just made a lot shittier. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's almost like I could see him pitching it as like The Matrix with a female main character in
Yeah.
space.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I can see them
And them
pitching it
going
as
like,
like the
"We're
Matrix.
listening."
The Matrix meets Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this had come out in 1995, would it have been a good movie?
No.
Would people have been like, "Oh, this is so great"?
Well,
it might have been
okay,
because
the one thing-
fight scenes.
The one thing I'll say, I saw this movie for free in 2D for work, and then I went back and I watched it again in 3D, and I will say that the 3D actually makes a big difference in the action scenes. Like,
Really?
Oh.
the action scenes were actually, I found myself thinking, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Particularly that very the first.
Yeah.
See,
The
I had
first-
a huge problem with the action scenes. Maybe it's because I saw it in 2D, but
Well, when you see it in 2D, you can see how stupid and cartoonish it looks.
Yeah.
But when you're distracted by the depth and all the way things look when
Yeah.
they're out of focus or in focus, a
The
little
roller
more,
coaster kind of thing.
Yeah, it
But when you're
kinda-
distracted,
when you're distracted, that's the whole point. This
Whenever
movie,
you are.
you need to be distracted in order to appreciate any level of this movie, and you still won't really fully appreciate it.
well, this actually goes back to my initial thing about like a death by abundance, and this actually is not just this movie. I think it's as we move into the era when as action scenes are being created in the computer. You know what I mean? They're becoming extremely complicated, way overwrought,
Yeah.
and hard to take in. Things are going so fucking fast. There's so much on the screen. It's like it's hard to appreciate.
Yeah,
It's very easy to unplug from it and just go like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yes, and a
you
lot
know?
of this movie was designed specifically with CGI action scenes in mind. And to me, this became very apparent when Channing Tatum's character gets introduced. For Channing Tatum, for some reason, his character is
22 Jump
It's a
Street.
space werewolf, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Yeah.
he also has like anti-gravity ice skates or
Boots.
something.
Yes.
to replace
You know?
his
Yeah.
lost wings.
To replace his lost, he's
Yeah.
a
Yet the
dog,
boots seem every bit superior to his
Yeah.
lost
way
wings.
superior.
Yeah.
They were so
But they're not
helpful.
as good. They don't hold you.
They don't.
as
They
well.
don't wrap you up in.
They don't make him seem angelic.
He's not
That's
angelic.
right.
No,
He's more like
just
a
an
cool
angsty dog.
rollerblader. Yeah, Skate 2 up in there. Just
He
Yeah.
reminded me of what's the Kit from Tailspin?
yeah.
Kit Cloud Surfer? Is that his name from Tailspin?
exactly who
So
that is.
actually, by the end of the movie, we decided that this was kind of a live action Tailspin.
It was a lot like a live action Tailspin.
That's what we decided
I
it
think
was.
I would have rather seen a live action.
I would still rather
Probably,
see
yes.
a live action Tailspin. But yeah, Channing Tatum's character is all built around basically his feet.
Yeah.
Everything, like, because he doesn't really have much of a personality.
None.
They do all of this exposition about how he was like, I don't even know what he was. What was he?
He was a
They called him-
Legionnaire.
he was a
He was
He was
splice.
Legionnaire, but they called him like a
but you don't know
a
what that
lichen?
means.
A lichen something.
A
Yeah.
lichen
He's
something?
a splice. He's
Yeah.
a half.
He's a
splice.
Legionnaire splice lichen.
Rogue
the thing is
moonwalker.
hilarious
Whatever.
is at least that on some level makes some ridiculous sense. Like it's not making
Yeah.
sense, but it's like wolves are scary and
Yeah.
he's half wolf.
But he
Yes.
needs his pack.
Sean
dude.
Bean is half bee.
Yes, Sean Bean. His name is
That-
Stinger.
What is the
His-
fucking point of that?
His name is Stinger, and he's
it,
half
it
bee.
had no relevance. It had no relevance, and actually, like you couldn't even tell until like we didn't even know until afterwards when we were reading.
I saw an interview with him, and he was
Yeah.
like, "I know my character is supposed to be half man, half bee," and I was like,
Like,
"What?"
Because he has bees on the side of his house. He has like the
Honestly,
beehives on his
Sean
house, so
Bean-
that makes him half bee.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you can't tell.
Then it's like you
Can't
realize,
tell.
oh, the bees.
Oh, that scene!
Yeah.
Oh my
Sean
fucking
Bean
god!
though completely
man.
classed up the joint.
He did.
Totally.
I said
Yeah.
from day one,
Totally.
like, the best part about this movie was
I
A,
agree.
Sean Bean.
And every scene he was in was classed up by his presence to a comical degree.
The
Yeah.
best scene in the best scene in this movie for me was towards the end when
in
Jupiter's
the
down.
jail.
Oh no, not in the jail, but when Jupiter's down on Jupiter, and
Oh, he goes and gives him a
And-
pep talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
she gives Channing Tatum the pep talk. Like he delivers it. I was watching it, and I was
You've
like,
got
that's
to see
fucking.
this movie, dude.
I was like, that's fucking Ned Stark. That's fucking Ned Stark right there. And he was
Yeah.
delivering this monologue. He was saying ridiculous shit, but it didn't really matter
But he
because
believed
carried
it.
it. Yeah, he
Oh, he
carried it
totally
with the-
carried
with
it.
the- and
Yeah.
it
He was
like-
totally good when he totally betrayed him all. That was so it's like that was given so short shrift that you're just like, guys, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Well, why did he betray him again? Something about his daughter.
Something about his daughter owed money or something.
yeah, they just literally glanced over it.
Because his daughter got written out.
Yeah,
She went to the grocery store.
She went to the store and was never.
She's gone.
People
To
in
the
this
grocery
movie
store.
just disappear like the fucking CIA got their hands on
They're
them.
all
you know?
having a party at the
Like,
grocery store. They
You know,
all.
the daughter disappeared. Like, and the sister, the first sister, the one that went to the pool,
Yeah.
disappeared after that.
She's just gone.
The brother that tried to marry her, fucking disappeared after that shit.
Yep.
The bounty hunters disappeared. Like, everybody in this movie just disappeared when, like, the writers decided they wanted to take the story in a different direction.
And the problem is again, just way, way too many ideas.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Just too many ideas. You've only got a short amount of time.
I feel
Let's
like this
just
is like,
focus on
but
what
you know what?
can
I feel like that's
communicate.
kind of like that's almost like a certain genre of sci-fi in of itself. Like it's kind of like what to me when I watched this movie, it felt like. Oh, like this is what Stephen Colbert was making fun of with, Stephen Colbert presents Alpha Squad 7.
I understand that. And
It's
I
like
think
Jansen
that,
Adventure.
I want to say that was part of what they were trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Like old school, like 70s sci-fi,
Yeah.
Yeah.
pre-Star Wars, where,
Yeah, where it's just
you
like
know,
7 billion races of
yeah.
aliens and just all sorts of crazy
I
shit.
you're
get
just
that.
thrown into
it's
it.
just,
Yeah.
and maybe there's no way to do that in this cynical era. You know what I mean? That's better than what we
Well,
just
I feel
watched.
Mass
but-
Effect is like that too, though. Mass
yeah.
Effect. Now, one thing that really bothered me about this movie is, the one thing.
Yeah.
One of the
One
many
thing.
things.
Okay.
If I was gonna say there was one thing that just overarchingly ruined the movie for me, would be that, the stakes of the movie was very confusing. Like, for starters, okay, I don't know how these people knew that Mila Kunis was the reincarnation of the Queen of Earth, the Queen of Space, or the Queen of something.
Again,
She's the queen of the galaxy.
Queen of the
Queen of the
Galaxy.
Galaxy.
But there's that whole subterfuge where with their friend's name, we see her friend for like 2 seconds.
Yes, and she disappeared too.
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
I want the screenwriter. I want someone to explain to me why that was required.
Like,
Okay, so what happened was at the start of the movie, Mila Kunis, it's exposed to you that she's just, you know, she lives with a comically huge Russian family, comically huge and comically Russian family, you know, and she's a maid, so she's scrubbing toilets, so she hates her life and whatnot. And she has a cousin that's trying to talk her into selling her eggs for money for some reason.
And somehow he gets
Yeah.
$10,000 of it
Because
when
of
it's
capitalism.
there's a fucking flyer. It's like it's a flyer that she can go to. She's like, yeah, thanks for the flyer, douchebag. I'll go myself. And you know, and like the check's made out to him. It doesn't.
I don't quite know
again,
what that
it
was
doesn't
all
make
about.
It doesn't have any purpose.
It
the
has
whole
no purpose.
eggs thing has no purpose.
No purpose at all, except for it was just it was just to give them an environment, I guess, for some reason, for which with all the worlds collide at one point. Because eventually she gets there, and I mean she's under the fake name, but the aliens are onto her. They know that it's her. They know that she's going to be there. They take over the I guess aliens run an egg donor clinic. You know, and they hook her up.
Sounds like a bad sketch idea. Alien, yeah.
If you like the abortion machine from Prometheus, then you would like this scene.
Forgot about that. That was an intense. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they hook her up and they're like fucking flipping her over and shit.
Yeah.
And you know they're like, "This is her, fucking kill her." And then Channing Tatum comes in, and that's the whole thing. You know, he saves her at that moment, but it's like, why would they ever decide to use donating eggs as, you know,
As the metaphor?
as the focal point for which all of these worlds collide? Like, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They brought the friend in because I guess they needed to establish that she stole her friend's identity to do it.
But again, way overcomplicated.
Yeah.
Way
Very
overcomplicated.
complicated.
Let's just fucking boil it down, man. The thing about the Matrix is it was real simple.
Yeah.
reason
He
I
meets
feel
some
like
guy at some things. He goes to work. He gets a fucking phone call.
this
Fucking
is
crazy
this
phone
is my
call.
theory on why this was so complicated, because, you know, and this is like a trope for a lot of young adult novels that are marketed towards girls. I feel. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how much young adult you read, but
If it's young adult marketed towards girls, I probably don't read it.
fair enough. Fair enough. But
Too bad.
the whole idea.
That voice you made, you were like creepy about it.
Oh, just wait until
for everybody.
just wait until we get to the villain, and then
Okay, but so like the start of the movies is all set up to like so that they tell you about this girl Jupiter and like, oh, she's such a lost soul, you know, she was born in the ocean, so she has no country, and
No
her dad
house.
was killed, so she has no dad,
Below
and
the
all
moon.
of this, she's just kind of this miscreant that's out in the wind and whatnot, you know, so that I guess young adults that would go for this sort of motif would feel like, oh, that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like I don't have a home, or if I whatever. But then the counter to that is, oh, well, I guess it wouldn't make sense for someone born in the ocean and out of the country to go donate eggs without having legal status here. Oh, she just steals her friend's identity. And then, like, that's I feel like
Is
that's
that
what
what was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She,
That's what was going on.
She's an illegal alien, and she needs like documentation to be able to go to one of those clinics to donate eggs. So she stole her friend's identity to be able to
the logistics of our modern era.
But it's still
Bureaucracy is the most
It's-
important part in
it's-
sci-fi.
oh,
As
there's
we
so
learned
much
with
more.
Phantom Menace.
As we learn with the Phantom Menace. Trade Federation bylaws.
Federation
are
bylaws.
totally
The Genesis pool from which
Yes.
all great sci-fi springs.
Yes.
Yeah.
That speaks right to my point about the stakes of this movie, because like for me, this movie should have been like, okay, they find out this bitch is the queen of the galaxy reborn.
Okay, hold on. How did they know to look for her in the first place? How did they know that she
They
had
never
been
established that.
Okay, so this is a huge problem. Like how did they find her there in the first place? How they know to look for her and
Channing
how they
Tatum
find her?
sniffed her out.
But but he was sent there to find her.
Yes.
So how did they know to send him there in the first
Like
place?
the three siblings somehow between that little scene
But
and
how
in
did
front
they
of the
know?
green screen, and which was awful. And then the next
Where
scene,
he's like smelling her and like looking at her like, there you are, you know.
well, that I mean, the very first scene,
The very
in the
first
movie
scene
where,
with the siblings.
where they're it's the
Yeah.
empty planet, and they're
the freshly harvested
yeah,
planet.
and it's
Yeah,
so
I
obvious
see.
it's
Yeah,
a green
yeah.
screen, and it's so obvious they're not in the frame, and they're talking, and
That
they're,
was a weird.
they're
way
all
to
so weirdly effeminate.
That was a
you know what I
weird
mean?
way
It's
to
like-
introduce those characters because it was almost like
the girl was the most butch one of the group.
It was almost like watching a scene out of Space Hamlet, you know, with
That's
like
what I thought.
with like
Shitty
really
Space
bad
Hamlet.
actors,
Shitty
you know?
Space Hamlet.
Another bad sketch
With
idea.
Mel
my
Gibson.
siblings,
Oh
I don't
God.
think, or however, whatever the fuck he said. It was hard
Eddie
for me to pay
Redmayne
attention
talks
to.
like the Godfather,
He will-
except for when he screams,
That was
Alright,
that
that's-
was the best part of
which
the movie.
out of nowhere.
I create life.
Oh God, I just started dying laughing. I couldn't help myself.
Literally, he either whispers things like this,
Oh my God.
or he shouts.
Like
And there's
Nicolas
nothing-
Cage?
There is absolutely, and I'm not exaggerating.
No.
There is absolutely
No,
nothing.
it is
Zero
that
middle
it is
ground.
that detached.
It is that
Yes.
stark.
Yes.
And it is brutal. I mean, when you're watching it at this point, you're like, this guy won an Oscar for some shit. You know? It's
Not for
almost,
this.
almost unbelievable to think about,
Yeah.
but
I read a review that said basically it was like he had based his character on like an amalgam of all villains from all movies, and it was just
It
like
just became
randomly
static.
bouncing
Yeah.
between, you know.
there was a lot of that. But to me, the movie should have been more like, you know, they found out she's the queen of the galaxy, and you know, however they find out, they've got to come up with some way to find out. They find her, and they're like, okay, we got to get you to, you know, take her place on the throne. And the siblings don't want her there, and then it's all a matter of like, you know, people reluctantly accepting her as queen, and then as they do that, people join her side, and there's scuffles here and there, and it eventually culminates into some kind of battle or something, you know, and you know, they get across Sean Bean's character, and he's all like, oh, you're not my queen, blah 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 blah, but then eventually she wins him over, and he bows, and you know, they get
No,
to a
he
bit-
called her Your Highness like right off the
right
fucking
away,
bat.
right away. Exactly, but the thing
because
is, like,
they broke up the fight because of her.
the
you
whole,
know,
but
they
the
were
whole,
fighting.
the stakes of the movie is not about like it's nothing like that stark or that it's all about tax laws and shit. It's all about like these three people, these three siblings, they run corporations which they sell
Yes.
what the humans that they harvest.
Yes.
And you know, and there's that scene where she has to go to the
DMV.
the DMV in space. You
Oh,
know?
that was ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous.
So okay,
It
so
became a
she's
Terry Gilliam movie for like.
And he was Terry Gilliam was the guy that
Oh, really?
yeah, he was in it. So
Yeah,
so
I've
she
read
is
that
the reincarnated queen of the galaxy, and she's in the DMV having to go through all these lines to get her title established, and no one gives a fuck who she is. Like
Right.
I agree.
she's the queen of the
So
galaxy.
much so they're trying to kill her.
Yeah, they are just like, you know, no.
Yeah.
Like
Her
nobody gives a
son's
fuck
trying
who
to
she
kill
is.
her or something.
Yeah, her son is
Right.
trying to kill her, but then he also wants to marry
Plus,
her.
the thing
and-
is like the thing that's so wacky about it is it borrows nothing from what makes corporations so insidious on Earth.
No.
Corporations aren't some maniacal evil person sitting on a, stroking a cat, sitting on a floating chair, whispering to himself in some kind of effeminate voice. It's a whole series of people that seem like decent people making terrible decisions
Yeah.
because no one's
Because
the,
no one's really like because
the
no one connects to the
responsibility is
human.
parceled out
Yeah.
in such small increments. It's like these aren't people; these are numbers, and this
Right.
isn't a
And
blah.
no one-
this
no
is
one
not my
understands
fault.
the-
It's so and so down
yeah,
at
the
accounting.
human
It's-
element.
Yeah, that's
Gets
the simple
lost
fact.
while
That's
it's
what makes
filtered.
corporations insidious.
Yes.
If it was just one evil person, somewhere, it would be much easier to deal with.
Yeah. The final confrontation between Mila Kunis and Eddie Redmayne's character, it's all about, she walks up to him and he's like, sign this document. That, and it's all about her getting him to sign this document. It's
Yeah.
like,
Is it like
Well,
Just
I didn't
fucking kill her.
understand. I didn't understand that at all. Because it's like they make such a big deal about how it's all about laws and fucking rules
Yeah.
and this and shit, and then the Galaxy cops know that you kidnapped her family,
yes.
Yeah.
and that you're holding her under duress,
Right.
and how is this gonna
Any
gonna
sort of legal
fucking mean
binding.
dick? You know what I mean?
Right.
They're gonna be like, well, you totally kidnapped her family and told you would kill her unless she signed this over. So we're gonna arrest you and take your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or it really
doesn't
doesn't
make any
matter.
sense. It's both. You can't have it both ways.
Right. It's like
you
it's
can't
all
have
about the bureaucracy.
be a story MacGuffin or something to push a story forward when you need it to, and then
take it
not
away.
restrict the story when
Yeah.
it would restrict the story. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck that shit. We're just moving. That's the thing. It's like there were so many just dumb fucking mistakes that it seems like they could have made a movie that was like a modern Flash Gordon from the 70s or whatever,
right.
and simplified it immensely, and had it been one of those things where you either liked or you didn't like, but it was like, yeah, I get what it was trying to do, which wasn't my thing. I like my sci-fi more serious.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But instead, they just wasted a metric fuck ton of money.
Do you think that they spent too much time and energy on the character, like on the creatures and the technology? That's all
They all
I
look
kept on
terrible.
thinking.
I mean,
Well, like-
they looked awful.
Creatures
Yeah,
looked awful.
I mean-
I like the spaceships. The ships looked kind of cool.
No,
Did they?
It was just
I
from
didn't like the spaceship.
it was just from
I like
Eve
the
Online.
spaceship.
This is the
Like,
thing.
It was kind of Eve Online-ish.
Yeah.
A spaceship. If you can't draw a spaceship in the margin of notebook paper while you're in math class, it's not a cool spaceship.
You have a
true.
very old-fashioned like.
No,
spaceship.
that's what makes a spaceship cool.
How
If
long
it's
would
too
you?
fucking
yeah.
complicated for you to draw it when you're doodling in class because you like sci-fi so much, you know what I mean? It's too fucking complicated. It's those spaceships. Okay, for instance, Star Wars. Perfect, the best ships ever. You know what I mean? You see a Star Destroyer. You've seen it once. You immediately know what it looks like.
Right, yeah, that's
you can
true.
draw it. You could draw it. You could see it once. See the movie. You could see the first fucking scene, and you could draw a blockade runner. You could draw a star. If they said draw that the ship that was underneath it, you could draw it super quick, super easy. The other ships,
X-Wing.
super any of those ships, iconic, immediate, easy to, and it wasn't like they didn't seem like real spaceships. They seemed like real spaceships. They were just fucking great. They were cool. If you asked me to draw one of those ships,
Yeah,
for
you wouldn't be able to. I
you
didn't
had a
say
gun
that-
to my head, man. I couldn't pick one out from the other.
I didn't say that they were ever iconic, but
Well, my point is that
I
like
mean, I
you
did
can
like
make
some of
the
the designs.
spaceships can be anything you imagine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It can be anything you want. You know, why not make them fucking cool? Why not make
Yeah.
them? You know, it's like, and even the prequels, even those, they still had cool ships. I mean,
Yeah.
that fucking Trade Federation ship with the
Yeah.
concentric circles and shit. Those things looked awesome. You know, I mean, the movie sucked, but those ships were cool.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my issue. It's like the ships look like Babylon 5 to me. It's like I couldn't. You had to, you could hit me with a bat, and I couldn't tell you what those
seen
fucking
Babylon
ships look
5.
like. But you know, it's
I
just
know what
like
you're talking about.
CGI, fucking tons of shit coming out everywhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just way overwrought. You know, it's like that's my issue with Transformers. It's like the Transformers they're way too fucking complicated. I like the
couldn't tell.
cartoons.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You can,
I can
when you
see
watch
he's a
Transformers,
gun,
You
you know
can't
what I
tell
mean?
what they're transforming into.
It's
Yeah.
like I want to see the metal, just the metal.
Yeah,
I don't
just the
need to see
plates.
all the fucking crap underneath
Plates
it. You
stuck in
know?
gears.
Yeah.
Again, it's just it's too complicated. It's overwrought. It's an abundance of ideas that aren't required.
Yeah.
Simplify it. The whole thing, just take the whole idea, the whole script, the whole concept, all the art, everything, and go, okay, we just need to boil this shit down to its fucking core. You know?
Right.
It's a movie, right? It's not like in reality, yes, there are a lot of details and things that you need to take into account. But here you're trying to portray an idea, right? And that idea got lost
Oh, yeah.
completely because I was focused in on like, how do his boots work? Like, or do they work? Or do they
He
only half
explains
work?
how they work.
Oh, God.
He said,
yeah.
what did he say? He said,
Yeah.
he
He
said,
doesn't really explain it.
Oh,
but-
yeah,
he
he's
says
like,
they're
up is hard,
they're
down is
differential
easy.
equations.
Oh, yeah.
They're differential
Yes.
equations that you can
differential
surf.
equations,
Or something
and
like
then
that.
and then literally trails off. Like it was like it was written by The Simpsons. You know, it was like Homer was like differential equations and everything.
Yes. I remember,
something.
like when I watched that at work, and like all of like the engineers that I was working with, they were all like, "What?" Like you could tell they were all like
Yeah.
the CS engineers. They're
Yep.
like, "What the fuck?"
Yep.
But yeah, they did explain that.
God. Yeah. No, but I mean, like,
I don't want to know how they work.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Who gives a shit?
And I would
Yeah.
have been
It's fucking
perfectly.
space
I would have
shit.
been perfectly
Yeah.
okay with them just saying they're,
was a
they're
movie?
fucking skates. They're
Okay.
fucking space skates.
Yeah.
There was a movie. It was made for HBO. It was called Roswell, and it was about the Roswell crash. And Mac Brazel is played in the movie by Dwight Yoakam. And at one point, someone asked him a fucking question about, well, how do they do that? And he goes, I don't know, because they're different than us. 'Cause they're from space. Jesus. That's it. That's all I need to know. They're different than us. They're from space.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? I don't even know about, if when you say differential equations, it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, it makes
You know?
it doesn't mean anything. It gives you as much information as not saying anything at
Yeah,
all.
and it's worse because it's like it shows the writers don't know
Yeah.
how.
Right.
You know.
And then Mila Kunis is like, I just kind of heard something about blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so now you're like making her seem
Yeah,
like
you're
she's
just-
not going to
You're
understand
just,
anything.
you're just
It's
making
like,
the female lead reductive,
It's-
which is all she ever does. She's like,
my
she,
God.
like she
Well,
gets,
that's the sad thing is that like
over and over
for a
again.
movie that and you've heard me rant about this. You hear a lot. There's a lot of talk about diversity in movies and all this stuff. And I'm like, and it seems like they always pick on great movies and things to rant about. It's like
Yeah.
when someone celebrates something, it's like Boyhood. It's like fucking great movie that everyone universally thinks is great. And then someone on fucking Salon is like,
there's not
there
any
should be more
Mexicans or
Mexicans in the
whatever.
movie. Well, there
Yeah.
are some Mexicans in the movie. Well, there should be more Mexican women in the movie. And that Mexican guy, he's a worker, and that's it's like, okay, if you're gonna rant about this shit, I think that's a legitimate point. But let's pick some shitty movies where they spent a lot of money making these shitty movies.
Because money is money.
Because you could have made
People
that.
got
You
paid
could
for
have
this.
given you could have given a diverse director of a different gender or race or whatever a chance to make their movie instead of just make some fucking terrible bullshit. Don't take a movie that's great is the sum of. It's greater than some of its parts. If you change one element, it may not be as good. Now, it may seem to you like if you just added a few Mexicans, that would have made me feel like it was more in Texas. It's like maybe, or it might have fucked it up. I don't know. It was a great fucking movie. There's a lot of terrible movies that are made that that money is spent on, and it's all about money at the end of the day.
Right.
If you think it's not, you're kidding yourself. You know what I mean? Every single thing, it's focus grouped, it's thought. I mean, in a movie where it's supposed to be, it's a girl main character. I mean, she has very little.
She has no agency at all.
Yeah, I mean, very little. I mean, and certainly no power. She's protected by white dudes the entire movie. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is that like,
But she loves dogs. And that dog is going to protect her. It's such a...
Yeah, that's her character. Her character's motivation is strictly, fucking romantic.
And it's just like at the end of the movie, when I was in film school, I read some article, and it basically said that like 90% of American cinema ends with the main female and male character consummating their romance, kissing or something, or some amount of affection. And maybe it wasn't 97%. It's been a long time, But the point was, it was a hugely high number, and I started to think about how many movies end that way, and I was like, wow, it's fucking true. Holy shit, it blew my mind. Yeah. And then, like, when I see it happen in a movie now, it's just like, oh my god! Yeah. And this is exactly what happens in the movie. You know what I mean? It's over. All this shit is fucking happened. But they're just back on Earth. They're flying around, and then they have this big scene where they're gonna. Under this vista, you know what I mean? They're going to hold each other and kiss. And then they're going to play some music and they're going to fly off into the sunset.
Off into the Chicago skyline.
And for filmmakers that consider themselves, I'm sure, quiet, liberal, and, and they're making, it just seems like it serves the exact same master at the end of the day. Which maybe it's and the thing is it could just be strictly economics. I mean, and
Probably.
that's the sad reality that no one really talks about when they have these discussions. But it's not. They make these movies it's not fucking happenstance. If you make a studio film, you have people up your ass fucking constantly. Every single thing goes through multiple levels of approval. Every script change, every character, what they look like, what they dress like, how they act, what they say, every fucking line. It's everything is just the smallest detail is gone over by just countless groups of fucking idiots. You know what I mean? Like people that never made a movie in their life. You know what I mean?
Lemmings.
Well, no, they're not even lemmings. They're just like these fucking douchebags.
They have to. I think that the Wachowskis are incapable of settling for anything less than an exorbitant budget. And the more money you have involved, the more people you get involved. So they have this big master plan, like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it big and fucking huge. And then a whole bunch of people get involved and fuck it up. And they got a big head from The Matrix, too. But
Oh, absolutely. They're definitely still riding that
I mean,
tidal wave.
and that's the thing. That's how that shit happens. You know, that's how, you know, that's how diversity and is lost in movies. That's how sexism is reinforced in movies. Because as you start to boil it down, you know what I mean. You start to boil out
That is-
all that stuff that might offend the greatest amount of people. You know what I mean. And it's the people. And so you see these stories all the time in like Salon or on Slate. You know, liberal Hollywood, blah 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 blah. It's like all the people might be liberal. They might, you know, but it's like they work for Monsanto. That's the thing that people don't understand. When you make a movie, it's not all that different than working for Monsanto. You know, I mean, if you're making a big studio movie with a huge budget, if you're making Boyhood or you're making Birdman or you're making any real art movie that, you know, where you basically like my vision or you can fuck off. You know, that's a different thing. But you're making these huge, mega expensive
You're talking about
movies
movies versus films.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, sometimes movies can be films, you know, but
Sometimes they can be.
and there's been periods where I think, you know, that it's been
The lines were the same.
it's
They
a
were
little-
going
they're a
in the
little
same
closer
place.
together, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like you see that come up, and then you see movies like this, and it's just like at the end of the day, it's just standard. It could have been John Wayne, you know. I mean, it could.
Yeah.
It other than the you know the wacky bullshit, it could have just been John Wayne, and you know, and anybody in you know, Rita Hayworth up there at the end of the movie. It's, you know, it's kind of the same fucking shit. Yeah. You know, the thing is I personally don't even begrudge him that, just because I understand that's just unfortunately the environment we live in right now. I just don't understand how they can make something like how all the shit that they can control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can get so fucked up.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, like, I feel like, you know, whenever you have a director with that, or directors with that much clout, you know, like, why did they have to, like, compromise so much? You know, because if they did have a good story, or does it seem like maybe they aren't even that involved anymore?
It's
you
crazy,
know?
man. I mean,
Maybe they, I don't know. We don't know the backstory, but maybe they
Yeah.
didn't compromise that much. Maybe this is very close to their
they
vision.
made exactly what
Well,
they.
Yeah.
so because of that, then we have really weak characters, a really weak storyline altogether, just very convoluted, but weak. Well, except for Ned Stark, the B-Man.
Yeah.
I like
B-Man.
him.
Yeah,
Everybody else
his
is weak.
performance
With
was
that
like-
Macaulay Culkin scene where they, like, come in and they're like, the bees! It's so crazy.
That was so weird. Oh, okay, also, if you walk up to a house that is just covered in beehives and a million bees everywhere, and there's
Yeah.
bees all around you, and like, would you?
Oh, that's a half B-Man.
Would
over there,
would
of
you
course.
like start to run from them first of all, or
Yeah.
be hesitant to go onto the porch that is
Yeah.
covered in bees?
Yeah, she just
And
kinda
then
passively swats
and then
away
would
at
you
it.
start like swatting at all of them? No.
Yeah. No, she.
But you see, the thing is, though, she didn't know because, like, as Sean Bean, you know, informed us, she's never been stung before.
Well-
because she's royalty and bees recognize that she's royalty.
bees don't lie,
That was
man.
so
was a pretty
stupid.
weak
Yeah.
way
That
to,
was so
Check and
stupid. No, that was stupid.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing, is that, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I'd already seen this movie done once a lot better by the same fucking people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the exact same movie.
And it's
Over and over
really
again.
simple. It was really, Matrix is a fairly simple movie, you know? The concepts, some of them are a little more elaborate, but they really don't get into explaining them. The other two break down when they start explaining
The other
explaining
two.
shit, you know
What
I mean?
is
The other
the
two
Oracle?
are the Phantom Menaces of
Yeah.
what the first one was.
So I was in high school when The Matrix came out, and I was still going to youth group. And there was a lot of discussions at youth group about the parallels between The Matrix and Jesus and all
Oh,
this sort of
man.
stuff.
Oh, I'd love to
Yeah.
And
hear
I
about that.
Wow.
hope that people are doing that with Jesus.
That is
We're
awesome.
sending at youth groups.
Oh man, I don't know who the. I guess what Jesus, the Jesus character would have to be Jupiter then, because she's the one
But
that
she
came back from the
sucked
dead.
so bad.
So does
Funny thing
Jesus.
is,
Yeah.
Touche.
let's think about how the movie. So does Jesus. That was good.
He never
That
got
was a
stung
good
by
one.
bees, did he?
Sorry, Jesus.
Yeah. I think he started with one bee, and when he was done, there were 300 bees. Honey for everybody. I I mean, how?
They think about they made me think about the scene in Jupiter Ascending where Jupiter is sitting at the table eating dinner with the middle brother. You know, they're having that ridiculous conversation about, you know,
Oh yeah.
you know, what was she saying? Something like, you know, why should I trust you? Blah 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 blah. And then the brother or whatever is terrible. Everybody except for Sean Bean were awful actors.
Yeah.
But he was talking about, you know, tax law or some shit like that. And then
I think I fell asleep during a lot of this.
this was bad. This was the
Yeah.
part. Actually, if anything, this was maybe the one moment to pay attention to the movie because this was when Mila
Damn
Kunis
it.
came out dressed up like Maleficent. You
Oh,
she
yeah,
had that
that's
fucking
right, yeah.
super tight black dress.
Yeah,
and
it was
shit.
like
She's
latex
Oh, this
and
is-
stuff.
okay.
I remember
Yeah.
that
We're
part.
just having
yeah.
dinner with Titus.
Yes, Titus.
Yeah,
Yes,
Titus.
She's having dinner with Titus. I think they were trying to make it like a tense back and forth between them, you know, and it just totally didn't
Fell
come
down.
through.
Well, the problem
and
was-
they did that moment where he was like, oh, they would have just lied to you, blah 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 blah, and then she's like, I could say the same about you, and the camera cuts to him, and it does like the sound cue, like, and he's looking up, like, and I'm thinking, is this supposed to be like some tense moment?
The issue is, and I don't, Titus was not a remotely intimidating character,
Not at all.
and the other guy, Baklava, whatever his name was, I don't remember his name.
I don't
It was
remember- I don't
weird. It was
remember any of their
I call him the
names.
Godfather.
Can I get some orange?
Yeah,
I call him the Godfather.
he wasn't even remotely intimidating.
He wasn't intimidating either.
They weren't scary guys. Like they should have cast Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
intimidating.
He could be intimidating.
Yeah.
He's pretty much intimidating all the time. Like,
Okay, we're back after a bad technical snafu lost probably half of what we were talking about. I don't know where we left off at, but we're just going to pick it up from any other random point. If somebody has something that popped to mind as a favorite or a particularly
one thing I know we
egregious...
lost that I want to say is I think that everyone knows it's like you can see a movie like that and realize the amount of work.
Yes,
Every-
we talked
every frame.
we talked about a lot of hard work went into this movie on every aspect.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
costuming is something that really stood out to me.
I really enjoyed how much attention they paid to the gold-plated telescope, and like, just like really like worked on it.
We're trying to
made
be
sure it was,
respectful, Gabe.
yeah,
You're
it's like,
Well, I mean, I just think that having worked on things that were fucking awful that turned out awful.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
or that people didn't like. It's one of those things, especially with as many moving parts as a movie, and a movie with that kind of budget and that many people to answer to. It's a miracle that it gets made. It's kind of the reason that all video games suck for the most part. And if you play a decent video game, it's like a miracle. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize how much of a miracle it was until I went to work for a video game company, and I went to meetings all day long, and I was like, it's amazing that there's anything worth playing at all. Because the video game companies, just like I'm sure film companies, they're staffed with some of the least creative people on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not all of them. There's lots of creative people that work there, but
But
with every
a lot of the creative people don't have the input.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of
Yeah, it's
people.
the business people who that
Yeah.
sign the checks.
and even if the creative people, but this is, even if the creative people went in there and tried to do it, it would be so many different directions, so many like different, because you have all of these star players and they're coming in and they're trying to do something amazing, like kind of seems like that happens a lot with movies, like with really great actors. They can take some liberties, they can push more,
Yeah.
but it's like,
I
how
think,
do you
yeah,
fight a corporation?
There are definitely directors out there who can step into a project and their vision. There's always going to be a studio or producer or whatever that tries to throw their weight around, but there's the director is a person. Their vision is uncompromising, like a Quentin
Right.
Tarantino of some.
Yeah.
There's probably for Inglourious Bastards, I'm sure there were plenty of people that were like, dude, fucking Hitler in the theater, you can't do this shit, but fucking he did it anyways.
But it seems like it seems consistent. Like they keep making there's a tone, or I don't know what the word I'm searching for is. Like their vision seems consistent across the different Wachowski movies. Like they go big, and it's a lot of flash, and it's, ever since the first one, it hasn't been a lot of substance to back
I
it up.
agree.
And
Right.
so I think that
they're
they
just-
did make what they set out to make
and
here.
that's what I feel. I
and
feel
some people
like-
fucked with it, but they still it was
Right.
still
No,
their
I
thing.
agree. I just think that it's. I think that at this point, the Hollywood machine that they function within is part and parcel of the process. You know what I mean? So I think they made exactly what they wanted to make for the most part. Although you could argue that they didn't get to do their edit. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's
Right.
probably quite a bit that they didn't get to include that they felt was very important. But the thing is the stuff that they did include, I know, as useless as it all is, I know that the stuff that they didn't get to include probably is equally useless, or just services, services.
Now
those
with
points.
more useless stuff.
That's my point. It's like
It's more masturbatory.
What if they? Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they probably would. They probably got
There's
some
probably
other
about
scenes.
10 more minutes of the DMV scene.
Yeah, or 10 more minutes
was fine,
explaining
man.
the fucking Lycan guy, or the history of the Legionnaires, or any of the crap that they think is important to the world they created.
Oh, I'm sure that Sean Bean scene where he just sits there and does nothing but exposition for like. I'm sure there's a lot from there that's been cut too.
Yeah, I mean, and so I agree. I think that for the most part, other than the time, I think they made the film they're going to make. But I think it's kind of like, to some degree, like records. And people say you spend your whole life making your first record, then you have to make your second record in like 6 months.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they had like all the time in the world to work on the Matrix.
to really think it out and imagine it, like imagine the dream. Yeah.
And
I know something that got cut out. I asked you, what was your favorite part of the movie?
probably this quick little scene in the cell where Sean Bean and Channing Tatum have something approaching
something
chemistry.
close to chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
but,
right.
But it's like they're more like talking about like, dude, they're talking on a more personal level at that point. Like it's
Well, it seemed like they were talking on a more casual, almost dismissive sort of level. Almost like it was a candid moment where these two actors are just having fun with their characters and not really paying much
Exactly.
attention to the bullshit of the movie.
That, and it works well in a movie like this because it doesn't take itself very seriously. It's
Yeah.
almost like them just kind of being like,
yeah.
it's like if you watch 21 Jump Street, what's make that movie funny is it's just a fucking joke. The whole
Yeah,
movie is a
right.
joke.
Exactly.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's
No
very-
one gives
yeah.
a shit.
Yeah.
Or it's like on a hot tub time machine where he goes to some kind of hot tub time machine
Yeah.
and looks at the fucking camera.
Yeah.
You
He's
know? As
like-
if to say,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
You know? I think like a little bit of that goes a long way, especially in a fucking a movie as ridiculous as Jupiter Ascending. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make it so, out of control, serious, her like, I just always fall for the wrong guy, all of that
God.
There's
stuff,
a whole theme about like seeing the worst in people. They always saw the worst in people.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're just like my mother. She always saw the worst in people.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
was like, oh, really?
I like her voice there.
Oh, really?
That was actually way more threatening voice than anybody else in the movie.
What if she had that voice? The
Yeah.
entire movie?
Maybe you should
I'm
just
Jupiter
read
Jones.
My name is Jones. Jupiter Jones.
I'm sorry, Miss Jones.
Listen, Kane, there's a whole universe that belongs to me. So you just stay out of my fucking way.
That would have been so much better if she had changed, that whole
like-
Black Swan thing. Just switch
Yeah.
over.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
run this
She was-
galaxy now.
Exactly. Once she got her shit, Titus gets up to the thing and she's like, listen, dude, I don't know who you think you are, but I've got chunks of people like you in my stool.
Mila Kunis, yeah.
The cannibal, apparently.
Yeah. Another thing that bugged me about this movie is that all the fucking bullshit that was exactly like Earth. Like
Yeah.
wedding rings. Really?
Oh, yeah.
But it was a
Yeah.
3D printer for wedding rings.
Yeah,
It was
which
so
is
good.
interesting, but like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Sign this document. He just hands her an iPad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
like everything that is involved with the DMV.
And the DMV.
They're torturing her family, but it's like it looks like something out of like The Simpsons. The dentist chair has like the spinning
I
blades. and
actually
needles.
laughed.
Yeah.
I laughed
You-
at that moment. I started dying laughing
With the
whenever
lizard
they
man.
had the family
Oh,
because
that part. Yeah.
captive, and they had just like any cartoonish dream sequence of like an alien abduction and the probing and like just like all of these things coming at you. That's exactly what they had. Like
Buzzsaws and power drills.
yeah, and I just started dying laughing because it's just it's the most cartoonish thing they could have made that into. Like,
This was what, a
And it really-
PG-13? Is that what
Oh, of
this
course it was
Yeah.
PG-13. There wasn't any cursing. There wasn't any blood, and there sure as shit wasn't any tits.
Would it be better if they just gone hard R with it?
Hard R. I don't think they needed to do a hard R with Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
And
I thought, like...
Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't
Yeah.
a hard R.
To me, Guardians of the Galaxy and Jupiter Ascending are very similar.
Yeah.
They're very similar in tone.
It's just one is entertaining to watch and one is crazy and wacky. And the thing is that Guardians of the Galaxy has a lot of the same, like, you know.
Yeah,
what?
but they played
You know
up.
what I mean?
But they played up their comedy part. You know,
exactly.
They
like
played up the comedy
They do it
part.
right.
There was actually some good character development. Not just
yeah. I mean,
good
yeah.
for a Marvel movie that's also a space comedy.
Well,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
And when I say good character development, I'm not saying that anyone's going to win a fucking Oscar over it. But
Yeah,
I mean,
the
it was interesting to
characters
watch.
were not paper thin like they were in Jupiter.
Right.
Ascending.
exactly.
You know,
You got a little bit of
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say is I really wanted there to be more time on the old guy in the bureaucracy scene.
Terry
When
Gilliam's character.
Is that him?
Yeah.
The one who is like doing all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
the steampunk,
Yeah.
the steampunk sci-fi
Yeah.
space.
I
Yeah.
see,
spacey
like
shit.
that's what I was missing from the whole movie. I was like, give me a day in the life of that guy. Like, just go, go and follow him.
a very
you know,
boring movie.
and he's just like going around and
There
he's
was
working with
something
this
so
old technology.
Hogwarts about that.
It was
Yeah.
very Hogwartsy. Because it was old timey and it was very analog. Like, despite the fact that it was all future and like rings are drawn on with lasers and shit,
Yeah.
it was like he was operating a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
exactly.
became a
Yeah.
different movie there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
the thing. It's like the movie just was
Too
like
many.
4 or 5 different movies.
Yeah, too
and
many
every
ideas.
idea was just filled to the brim.
You know what
with
pissed me
fucking
off about that
bullshit.
scene
Yeah.
is like at the very end of all that, like at the very end of all the DMV stuff, you know, they're walking in the basement or whatever. Channing Tatum was like, "Well, it's done. You're the queen of the galaxy now." I'm like, "No,
No big deal.
wait a second.
No big deal.
No, don't you dare do that. Like, the entire point of this movie is, like, people are trying to get after her so she doesn't become the queen, and she's, you know, her life is boring, but now it's about to become this whole new thing, and the way that you're gonna expose the turning point in which she becomes the queen of the galaxy is just like, well, you signed that document, congratulations, you know?
I don't know. Maybe that was the Wachowski thing that they were trying to say. Wachowski, whatever.
Wachowski.
Yeah, they were like, turns out we were the one. We became the one, and we became these super huge directors and all this stuff. But then at the end of it, well, we're just like in the middle of this bureaucracy. They gave us a certificate, and it's like just the same as school anyway. So, and so that's really what they were trying to say, and also make some money.
But this was a meta commentary on...
And also,
and also make some money.
Preserve their legacy as cinema visionaries.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, I feel bad for the Wachowskis on some level, as
Yeah.
much as I can feel bad for any person who gets to direct films for a living and has millions of dollars.
I've got the maximum amount of sympathy
Yes.
for that.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
It's a very low ceiling, though.
But I mean, think about what it would be like to hit it out of the park on your very first thing. It's like,
No, that's a tough
You
thing.
make a first record, for
That's a-
instance. so
he's-
you're-
they're Shyamalaning out.
And it's like
Yeah.
your first record is just the most amazing record ever, and everyone loves it.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you'll pretty much spend the rest of your career to some
Mm-hmm.
degree chasing that level of success or that level of novelty, and which you'll
Imagine
never
Dragons.
ever.
Like
It was a very successful record.
it was, and they're just never going to be able to hit that
No,
mark again.
maybe not. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Weezer.
I'm not the
it's
biggest
like-
fan. Weezer is an excellent example. That's a band I actually like.
So, final thoughts, everyone. Would you, as a so good it's bad style movie, would you recommend this movie to anyone? I think we all hate this movie, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask if you liked it or not. But would
Sure.
you recommend it to someone for fun?
Okay.
Would you watch this movie again with pals and beers?
I would
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would ask my friends if they want to see a live action Tailspin movie
Yeah.
and send them to that.
I think that the answer to that would just be yes in general.
But other than that, no.
We'll probably get that too. I think Hollywood's getting to the point where
Yeah, they're really
Yeah.
dragging the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chip and
Yeah.
Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Right.
Yeah,
Darkwing Duck.
yeah, Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
There's- yeah.
But otherwise,
We're
no,
due
I
for
would
a
not
gritty reboot.
recommend this movie.
Hard R, Darkwing
Yeah.
Duck.
hard
Continue
art.
It's
on.
like Howard the Duck, only Darkwing Duck. Starring Howard the Duck.
Let's get dangerous. It's just like fucking stabbing people and shit.
He's got Christian Bale voice.
We're dangerous. Tell me where she is.
Oh, Justin?
Is it free? I'd probably watch it again if it was free.
If it was free. Okay.
I mean, if it was
So-
like on cable, and I happened to be on in a room that I was already in.
You wouldn't change the channel
I might
away, is
not
basically
change
what
the
you
channel.
said.
You literally wouldn't lift
If you
a
can't
finger.
find the remote,
The first time.
First
Later
time.
on, if it was on and maybe like Futurama was also on somewhere, I'd probably
Yeah.
change the channel. to
Okay.
Futurama.
That's about as strong as endorsement as I feel this movie's going to get. Tim, would you watch this movie again?
Yeah, I would.
You didn't watch it in the theater.
Gabe,
Mm.
your girlfriend liked this movie.
she did.
What did you say to her after you saw it?
So I told her that, well, first of all, she came back and, she had this whole idea about, she was like, oh yeah, we're going to go get this telescope and it's going to be so good. This is no joke. Like, seriously, she was like, oh yeah, we're going to go get this telescope. We're going to go over to Enchanted Rock and everything. It's going to be so good. But yeah, like, no, and so then I started coming up with these
So
ideas.
she was actually inspired by the movie.
she was inspired by the movie. She
I-
was
To
like,
buy a
yeah.
telescope.
You should do
Yeah.
that, though. I actually did that with my girlfriend a couple weeks ago.
Enchanted Rock with a telescope?
Yep.
Yeah.
Aw.
No, we were there on the exact same day.
Really?
Yeah, I saw your
you
post.
you saw. We were.
Yeah. And I was in
The
the
star party.
Yeah, and I was for the star party, and I was there with a stupid black hoodie too. And I tried to walk up all the way up to the top, and I did, and it was terrible, and I just about died because I am so out of shape. It was the worst thing.
Yeah,
But
I'm pretty
anyway,
out of shape too.
Yeah.
I'm violently out of shape.
I was doing something alarmingly simple recently and was like, whoa.
Alarmingly simple. What were you doing?
I think I like lifted a chair or something, like a regular like small chair like this, and got winded. Like I had to take a second. I had to take a knee.
Oh, man.
But yeah. Anyway, I would. I don't think it's a whiskey movie. I think it's more like if you had a lot of gin and also like some weird like maybe some Red Bull or something too. Like you were like really hyped up but also kind of swimmy about it. Didn't really sweat the details too much. It would be pretty fun.
Gin and Red Bull,
Yeah,
and
that's
also
the
kind of
drink.
high.
Yeah, probably.
So
Okay.
basically, if you just weren't going to pay attention, you could watch it.
Yes, exactly. yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say a no on all fronts. I really didn't have fun enjoying the movie when I was sober. I didn't really have fun enjoying the movie while we were swinging out of a flask.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't. It was not an enjoyable
You were
movie.
faking it.
Yeah.
It's just not an enjoyable movie. There's nothing really compelling about any aspect of the story. None of the characters or any characters that you could really grasp a hold of.
No.
You know, like even if you didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, at least there's like Rocket Raccoon that you can kind of grasp onto, or Drax. You know, if you like Batista's performance as that character. But in this movie, there's absolutely nothing worth grabbing onto, and everything just kind of, falls flat. So no, I don't recommend it.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You've heard it nowhere else.
That's right.
Nowhere else.
Jupiter Ascending sucks.
Jupiter's Ascending is not good.
Now Jupiter's Fisting, on the other hand.
And I'm
I would
sad
pay to
we
see
lost, We lost the Jupiter's Fisting, but
Tailspin
Did
fisting.
we
I think
lose
Tailspin
that?
Jupiter's
fisting.
Fisting might be in there.
Yeah, we
Jupiter's
might.
Fisting.
Yeah.
I think that was
Lord.
earlier on.
Was that earlier
I
on?
think so.
Okay.
We got Jupiter's Fisting.
Wow.
Jupiter's Fisting.
Rated PG-13.
Rated
Terrible.
Oh, the fisting is just those applied.
And sound effects.
Sometimes.
You see an elbow. You just see an elbow, and then here's some KY jelly.
God, it's
Fisting.
just the next cool record.
My cousin did the Foley effects on Jupiter Fisting. It took him a
The
year.
Academy
Yeah.
Award for sound design goes to.
This year.
Technical awards. Fisting's a
This
technical
summer,
award. It's a separate
understand.
ceremony. They don't want to do that.
Wait.
This summer, get fisted. Jupiter's Fisting. Rated R.
Oh man, Netflix. I think they're making a TV series based off of Marvel's comic character Iron Fist, and I really hope
dear.
they use "Get Fisted" as a tagline.
Get fisted. Speaking of that, I want to see Get Hard just because. Of
Yes!
Yeah, just because-
I'm sorry.
Get hard.
The thing is I have a feeling Adam McKay probably had something to do with that. So only he could write a whole movie based on this idea of wanting to say "Get Hard" on a
hard.
poster all over America.
All right, that's it for us, guys. See you later.